to this Stewards General Meeting session. As you know, we'll be recording in Spanish and English, and you are free to use the language of your choice, both at communicating verbally, but also at communicating in the chat, which you are very much encouraged to do. If you have at any point any link that you want to share, please don't hesitate to do so, and also please ask any questions and communicate with your fellow panelists with the chat. I'm gonna start a short presentation just to put some housekeeping in order. I hope you can see it. I think there you are. So welcome to session 2 of our Stewards General Meeting 2023. This is a session that has been some years on the happening. The user engagement initiative showcasing. In this case, we have Dataquests and data rally journeys from different continents. We have the Philippines, and we have federal level, also Mexico. On the subnational level, we have Bogota in Colombia, and we have Guanajuato in Mexico. So it's a very diverse mix of participants that are here. As I just mentioned, we have interpretation available in Spanish, English, and French for all our sessions. Just please click in the little globe below the interpretation icon, and there you can find your selection of language. Please feel free to use the language of your choice. Just because some of you might not be using your name, or you might be logging in from your professional or family Zoom account, please, we ask you to rename yourself using your name and organization. For example, Juan Pablo Guerrero from GIFT, Aura Martinez from GIFT, Raquel Ferreira Leti from GIFT. And if you could use your country, because there are several countries represented here, that'd be great. Well, everyone, if you are joining either by phone or by Zoom video, please, I will ask you to keep your video on at least as much as possible. If you cannot because of connection issues that we are very mindful of, don't worry about it. At least keep it on while you're presenting. We ask our panelists to also keep it on. We'll ask you kindly to please mute yourself when you are not speaking, if possible wear headphones, so that we can all hear each other correctly and not get any noise from the background. But in some of our countries, it's a little bit late or a little bit too early for there to be much noise around us. Well, when you present, and I am doing this wrong, I should speak slower. When you present, we'll ask you to speak slow, this to assist our interpreters into making their best possible job and getting everything from your very valuable inputs in your presentations. Please use the reaction button below as much as you want, and use it also to raise your hand if you want to use the microphone to speak group. And as I mentioned, use the chat thoroughly in the language of your choice. As mentioned also, the session will be recorded, both for documentation purposes, but also because future rally and Dataquest contestants will indeed be inspired by your journey so far. So we really want to share with them all here. So moving on, I'm gonna go straight to the gist of the session. The idea is, as you know, to have our sharers that are participants and winners from data on the streets rallies and Dataquest for sustainable development. As you know, these are initiatives that encourage the public to use fiscal information in open formats and engage in very different stakeholders. We will want to use this session to feature organizers that are champions as well, and winners that from each initiative from around the world, and discuss impactful ways to expand government civil society collaborations. These many times, the Dataquest and the rallies are very, let's say, low touch, but very impactful and engaging types of initiatives that are the first steps for governments and civil society to approach the more general public in terms of open fiscal data that might not be as much as exposed to it regularly. So by doing it in a pedagogic but also fun way, you approach different types of audiences in a more easy, but also in a way that they can also express themselves, and through the information they can find innovative ways to propose and to incite change. So in that sense, we are really happy to have you this year as well. Both organizers and winners are actually champions in fiscal transparency. And the idea is, when we listen to the users, we had asked you to kindly talk about what motivated you to participate, what ministries of finance and specialized civil society organizations that convened you to participate, what could they do better, and how can they motivate users like you and participants like you to come forward to this the initiative you won. So what you can tell to other participants that you wish you could have known before, or that would have helped you your initiative and your winning proposal be even stronger. When we are also going to listen to the organizers, we want to hear as well what challenges you faced, what lessons also you learned from this experience, and what recommendations can you share to those who aim to organize something similar. As you see, the questions for both sides of the table are complementary. The lessons probably come from what the participants would mention they were challenges, and the other way around. So at the end, we're going to have a little bit of a discussion. I just also want to take the chance to introduce some of the team members that are here. Maybe Leti, Raquel, Juan Pablo, if you want to say hi, that'd be great, so that all our panelists and participants can get to know you, and then we can start with our first presentation.
Gracias. Hola, soy Juan Pablo. Estoy en Washington.
Hello, my name is Juan Pablo. I am in Washington. That is why it is dark now. And I have the pleasure of being the leader.
I'm so happy to be the leader of this wonderful group of team members. So thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. And thank you, Aura, for such an exciting and innovative, yet even if we repeat it every year, it's always an innovative session for the SUAS General Meeting. Raquel.
Hello, everyone. It's Wednesday here where I am. So good morning for almost midday, almost lunchtime from Australia. I'm Raquel Ferreira, a Senior Technical Advisor at GIFT. I'm very excited to learn about all these exciting competitions and projects that you've all been involved in. Thank you very much for sharing your experiences with us.
Hola a todos y a todas. Hello, everybody. Good night here from Mexico City. I'm very thrilled to be here, and thank you very much for being here too. And I hope this session is very productive for us all. You get to learn marvelous experiences from all of our colleagues around the world. My name is Leticia. Sorry, I'm from GIFT also, and I'm thrilled to be here. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit nervous.
Thank you, team. So as you can see, the session is so innovative that we come from the future, both in the Philippines and in Australia. It's so futuristic that they are actually speaking to us one day in advance. So they'll have more knowledge and experience than us in this world, than us in this continent. Well, we would like to start with the panelists coming from the subnational sphere. That means that is the most recent and most new the newest initiatives that have come to this effort. We started this effort around 10 years ago with the federal level in several countries, starting with Mexico's federal level, but then moving forward to other countries that were inspired and also brought their own flavor to this initiative. But very recently, some national governments have also taken advantage of the national experience and further innovated in how can they approach the information to the public, which is great because they have information that in many times is even closer to the people than it is that of the federal level. So without further ado, I'll leave Sandra Quintanilla, the citizen winner from Bogota, Colombia, to talk to us a little bit. We have little time, so because we want to hear everyone, so if we can all stick to our 5 minutes, that'll be great. But I'll leave Sandra Quintanilla. Sandra, adelante, por favor.
Gracias, gracias Aura. Estoy aquí con mi
Thank you,
compañera.
Aura. I am here with Alejandra Porres, that is also a winner of Explora Data here in Bogota, Colombia, for the category of citizenship. Thank you for this space to gift that give us the chance and also to let you know a little bit to other colleagues that are here with us about what we did with the open data. Well, we had an objective, and we had the sustainable development as one of them, and we worked regarding the weather with the topic of greenhouse effect. So what we did was a verification. We are in Suba, Bogota, and we had the need to see because we have different public jobs, and we want to know how this is affecting us, how they are measuring their gases, the ones that are creating with this deforestation. Because as you know, that cities develop, and for those we need the trees. So as the first measure, we wanted to know which are the effects of greenhouses effects that we have, and if we have a formal document where we can get what type of measurements are being done. So we started doing this. So the first thing that we do is to see which are the main gases that are affected, which are the sectors that are being affected. And regarding this, a lot of deforestation took place. You know that every tree that is cut, we emit a certain type of gases. So we look for that information and we didn't look for it. And we also talk about the particular material, because you know that this particular material is also related with everything that has to do with solvents, with pollution, with contamination, but this is with a bias with the transportation and the industry. Just to give a little bit of context for everyone that is in here, is that we are part of a collective named Colectivo Britalia Verde. We are environmental activists, and those were our main concerns regarding this environmental aspect. We were talking about the fauna, about the flora. So let's say that for us, it was the main role of these intervention spaces. So in that same sense, it motivates us to participate and also to know which are the things that we find in the open data here in Bogota, and how we can do from our experience of activism and from our perspective to give or to bring some solutions, and from that collective intelligence we can share those experiences that are not only on our behalf but for all the tours that we did in the territory. So we talk about the community. We are also in scenarios of commissions and encounters with entities, with some participation that allow us as well to participate as citizens regarding these topics. So in terms of asking different entities, requesting different entities just to let Aura know that the entities that invited us to participate from this data exploration was the General Ministry of Bogota. Dr. Patricia Rincon is the subsecretary that was also supported
Là est très important, oui, pour le
by the Innovation
laboratoire
Laboratory
d'innovation au
for the Open
gouvernement.
Government.
Et oui, bien sûr,
And they
donc nous
invited us.
souhaitions
It was a public
inviter
invitation
donc
open to
cela
all
a été ouvert
citizens
pour tous les
and also to
citoyennetés.
the academia.
Et oui, bien sûr, de la
So
part
within
de
these
ces
observations that we were
observations, de
made
ces
to this
notes,
presentation,
remarques,
it was to
quoi
improve
améliorer de la
from
part
the
des entités,
organizations
des
and entities. So
organisations.
we found
Donc,
out
on a
that the
trouvé
information that are
d'avoir
comprehensive is
cette
basic.
situation
How to
basique, que
download it, how to
télécharger
use the
Excel, les
document
documents que je
that maybe is
téléchargeais.
not with a lot of
Et
technicism or
non, vraiment
terminology,
avec beaucoup
but it
de
helps you
mots
to
qui
have the
sont
conclusion
techniques
of any
avec
citizen,
n'importe quel
from
citoyen,
the
même si
guy
on
that is
parle
trying to do
d'un jeune
the homework
garçon
and
qui
for
est en
someone that
train
is
de
trying to do
faire
a
une
research like
mise
us.
à jour.
And we also
On a
learned that
appris
we
qu'on
need
a
to have more
besoin
investment in
d'un
open data. Why?
investissement.
Because
Les
information is
informations
valid
sont
and that
très
public
importantes.
information
Sorry to
make
Donc,
us
interrupt.
cela nous
improve as
permet de
citizens.
continuer à apprendre un peu plus.
Sorry to interrupt. There seems to be some issue with the
Je ne sais pas
interpretation
si
that
on
we are hearing both
nous sent-
languages at the same time.
Sí, se escucha en el canal. Sí, pero se escucha en el canal de inglés, inglés y francés.
I mean, in the English
Está en
channel,
inglés, en el canal de inglés.
I am now talking in
Hola,
the English
inglés,
channel.
para hacer una prueba rápida.
Hello,
Yeah.
hello, this is the English channel.
Yeah, it's working.
Hello, we can hear you, but we can hear the Spanish
English
at the same
interpretation. Can
time.
you speak in your channel of interpretation so we can hear you? I cannot hear anything in the English channel. No, no
Hello,
escucho
this is the
nada
English
en
channel.
el canal de
Sí.
inglés.
Bueno,
Hi,
es que
this is
estás
the
hablando,
English
estás
channel.
hablando en inglés
Intérprete
y
de
entonces ellas lo que
inglés.
traducen al inglés. Vamos a hablar en español para probar, por favor,
So we're going to
los
speak in
canales
English
en
just to try
inglés
the English channel. We're testing the English channel. So can
y
we
el
continue?
canal en
Marco
francés.
says he's listening
Es para
correctly.
So
Raquel, are
this
you
is the
listening?
English channel. We're doing some tests. I can see
Yes.
that they are listening to me. So this English
Yes.
channel is working.
Muchas
The
gracias.
only issue
Excellent.
is that we hear both. We hear the Spanish and the English at the same time, so we can't really hear the English unless it's just me. Are all the other English people able to hear just the English, or you also hearing both languages at the same time?
Vamos a probar nuevamente.
So
Estoy
let's
hablando en
try
español.
again. I'm going to speak in English
Y
because this is the English channel.
origen del
So
problema
the origin of the
es que
problem that we identified is that when we're translating into English, we're listening to the Spanish version as well. So it is difficult for me to understand it.
I think it's set.
Is it better?
Yes, it's
Did you
much
solve the
better.
problem?
Set. Mhm.
Yes, it's solved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Aura, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, please, the presenters can continue. Sorry, it's that we had to stop them because they were, it was not understandable. Please, go ahead, Kim.
Bueno, estábamos hablando en este
So we were talking about what can we improve on behalf of the organizations and entities. We, during this path, we found out how it is clear and which is a language that we need to use so citizens can understand everything and they can produce information as well. So we needed to be more technical. We need to have more investment in open data. And we had a lot of platforms that we didn't know as citizens. So I think that this work allows us to use the AI. This allows us to work with different tools that we didn't get use as citizens. So for us, it was actually something really good. And that is why now we want to make these observations. So we also require and we find in this journey that we need more investment in regarding technology for the different dynamics, the quality, that is run by different entities. Software is because of the quantity of information that some entities have to manage. Sometimes it is not enough with the platforms because it is really robust and it never ends loading. So it is very important, this type of investment, technological investment, because citizens as us, that we're trying to explore, this allows us to have this sustainability for different projects that are part of this explored data. So we want these entities, we want these organizations to use and updated information that is verified for different projects in terms of public policies, and it is very valuable because we're talking about updating information, because one of the findings that we had is going back to the GI of the greenhouse effect, the inventory at a national level, it has a delay. It has a very big delay. So in 2016, it was the last inventory that we did in Colombia. So it is very important to keep updating the information on behalf of entities and use them as well within these investigations. Actually, with a micro level, as the quality, it is important, the generation of data regarding deforestation as well. So that was the most important call in this matter. If you see our basic trial, it generates different organizations said we are doing this as well. We required to improve urban matters. We need to have that clarity. So here in Colombia, for instance, the botanical garden is very big, but it was not registering all the trees that were part of the deforestation. So they are doing this agreement because the more I know, what I don't know is I will know how I can compensate it. So regarding the things that I need to improve, there are some findings and research on behalf of the academia that is also useful for the community and society, highlighting the quality of the investigation and data. So it is very important to have that referent or have this link between the academia and the information or what the entities are presenting. Because when we talk about academia, we have clear that some of them are private. So it would be great to open this gap. And last but not least, it is important to mention different aspects to have them present. We don't have the data of the quantity of trees that were compensated after the deforestation. Number two is that we know, or they're not measuring the CO2 that is being released after every deforestation. And three is that we don't have this traceability. It is not clear. So the big question is, do we have an inventory of greenhouse effects in Bogota? Does it worth it to start to build that big investigation regarding greenhouse effects? And actually, it is also important because we saw how the ecosystems were fractioning in a certain way. Because, for instance, we can see the mammals that are in the surface, but we need to know what is going beneath for everything, those that are needed in nitrogen, oxygen. So that is difficult for the observation. And also important to mention, that is important to highlight, that the open government, that we're aware which were the requirements from us as citizens to have the knowledge. Also going forward with biodiversity, how animals and how plants, where they're taken to, which is the follow-up, how they are reincorporated to their places, and how can we improve that ecosystem that is going to be after the public matter. And it is also an invitation of this society that is going to be sustainable, trying to going towards that path, because regarding we talk about being sustainability that allow us also to have the actions. So we want to start walking on that path. And it would be great that from this pilot, we can create a basis for different organizations that work with this matter of the value that we have now of the climate change. What we need to do, which are the things that our ecosystem needs. And even we also have the observation that here in our locality, with the Organization of Health, they mentioned that we need one tree per inhabitant. So far in Bogota, we have 0.26 of a tree. So the need of oxygen is impressive. Things about the mental health is also very important, and that is also a requirement.
Gracias, sí.
Hace parte de la primera parte de lo
So that is the first part of our meeting. And I think that is everything from our behalf. Thank you very much. I think that all the projects are actually very interesting and innovative. So we would like to have more time to see in detail each of them. But now we're going to see if there is any question or doubt. And if you can give us some links, maybe just to give a follow-up to your project, and we can do some consultations. We have a question here that in the chat, but in a couple of minutes, we also can bring this to the main session of just to know how did you use artificial intelligence. So these presentations and the other presentations, I will ask you please to be focused in a certain moment to the budget information that is also important for gift. And you were working with this public work. So it was clear how to use the information related with the development of the budget and the performance of it, but we would like to highlight that point. That is what the network work with, how you link this information that is very complex, but it's actually very interesting. And it's relevant for many cities in the world, and I'm pretty sure that in this sense, Bogota is going to inspire other cities that we are suffering the same situation of public policies regarding the climate change. So if we can see at the chat, if there is something we are not missing, and then we can finish with this round of Q&A. Danilo, please, from Bogota. He had two winners, one from the side of citizenships that they exposed already, and they also had a category for the academia that is going to let us know. Danilo, that is the winner that was part of the project, and is going to do some reflections about the questions that we gave to you before. Hello, good evening. Can you listen? Can you hear me? Yes. Well, thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you sharing this experience. As you said, Aura, I am the winner in the category of Academia 3.0 2023. And the topic is transforming Bogota, Distrito Capital, as a sustainable idea and open data. What is linked is the number 11, that is called Cities and Communities, Sustainable Communities and Cities. And the topic, the relevant one that I consider that we need to take into account in Bogota City, it should be the sustainable mobility, because it is a model of low consumption of CO2 that, apart from being healthy, it gives a privilege and increases the quality of life of the collectives, as well as using of public spaces that is going to favor the citizens. I would like to mention something here regarding the portal of open data of Colombia. We have so far 4,200 data set from the Colombian government to do some research and investigation for the visualization and to create stories. We have 1,246 entities that are taking part of it, that are sharing data, and they are, of course, are there for general citizens just to be used. In 9,872 views and investigations that were created from open data. And one of the objectives as a fiscal policy is to make decisions on behalf of the government regarding the expenses and the income to know how the economy is performing. So with this job, what we did is that we explore everything regarding the open data to address it to sustainable mobility. And as Sandra and Alejandra mentioned, we have different portals in the country. And we did a consultation of the 3 different platforms. There are Datos Abiertos Bogotá. We have IDECA, that is the infrastructure for the capital. And we also have Mapas Bogotá. So from all this data, what we look was to implement 2 models to do a classification about the viality that needs to be intervened, the surface that we need to work on. So one of these models, one is the model of forest, aleatory forest, and the other one is a logistical regression. Previous to the implementation of the model, we have a lot of work of the pre-processing of the different data. And yes, we do need to have some expertise to have a management of all these data set. And when there are data sets that are linked with a geospatial information, so theirs are enriched with this type of information. And we have to take into account also that we need a specialized software in order to visualize these different layers and to have them as maps. So at the end, we can do an analysis and we can have information that is processed already that later on is going to be taken to the models to obtain the results that we require. So as a result, we had an assessment of the models that is pretty similar for the study of the metrics. It was a test of 0.96, that means 96%. And as I mentioned before, what we were looking for is to have a classification just to know if the variable or if the viality needs to be intervened or not. Regarding the software that we use for the visualization of geographical information, we had a free software. We use QGIS. Even though I like working with RGs, I have more experience with this type of softwares. So we did the exercise, and at the end, it allows us as well to do an assessment with the information. For instance, everything that has to do with certain type of infrastructures, such as the highway network. We also had some other informations like parking lots, bike roads. We also have some data set with information that is measuring the environment. So we have different components. So at the end, it launched a result, what allows us actually to find within the different localities in Bogota, because we have 20, which are the localities that are best equipped and which are those that required more intervention. So that is why here with the fiscal policy, because it is from here that we can make some decisions on behalf of the governments, the local governments. So regarding Bogota and the highway network, we have three agents that intervene in a certain way. We have IDU, that is the Urban Development Institution. Danilo, sorry, but if we can just give 1 minute to it to close with your presentation, thank you. So I will close with this, mentioning the IDU or some the local municipalities that are actually those that are focused in this thing about generating or give some of the resources, the economic resources and destination to replace the intervention of the highway network. So this is it for on my behalf. Thank you very much. Thank you, Danilo. It was very interesting to know how in both cases in Bogota, you were focused on things related to the infrastructure and how to improve life in the city, how we can improve the decision-making on the public policies throughout data. So it really caught my attention, the approach of both teams. Now I'm going to give the floor to one of the responsibles that Explora Datos Bogotá is now in its third edition with all these achievements. Daniela Celis, please, as the organizer, I will give you the floor. Thank you, Aura. A good night, good morning, good afternoon from the others, wherever you are. Juan Pablo, hello, and all the participants from our subsecretary, Patricia Rincon, that is sending you a greeting. So hopefully we can learn a lot from this experience in Bogota, and also we can balance of what was our challenge, and we can learn from other experiences. So I'm going to start just giving a balance of what is Explora Datos Bogotá. As Aura mentioned, this is our third edition. We've been developing this since 2021. We've been growing considerably this year. We went from 48 groups that were registered to 141 groups this year from citizens in the category of citizenship and also in the academia. We also have allies from all other sectors, from the academia, from civil society, internationals, of course, we have GIFT, and also we had different appendices that are part of institutional allies. Just to mention some, to highlight the work that we've been doing of exploring data, we can guarantee that at least one out of 20 localities that we have in Bogota, Bogota is a very big city, at least one per locality participated or was registered in this challenge. What makes us really happy, because we have this presence in all of these localities. Just to let us know, Explora Datos Bogotá 3.0 was only focusing 5 points that were what we presented to the UN with the local report, as it was volunteering, that we delivered at the beginning of this year. So these 5 sustainable development objectives. I don't have any audio. Daniela, if you can try, please, again, because we cannot listen to you.
Ay, a ver, de nuevo. No, te escuchaste un segundo y te volviste a ir. No, aún no te escuchas.
Espera a ver.
Ahí ya.
Ahora sí, ya.
Ya.
Ahí estás.
Vale, ¿hasta qué parte me quedé?
So where it was? Sorry. It was like 1 minute ago that we didn't listen what you were saying. So I was saying about the SDGs, we are focused in 5 of them. those that presented for the local report in the UN.
Si eso lo alcanzamos a escuchar.
Sí, creo que listo, perfecto, ya estaba chequeando que me siguieran escuchando. Y bueno,
Así.
nada, como lo vieron, pues nuestros trabajos
And
ganados
as you see, our winners both are, as Aurea mentioned, they are focused
digamos que hacia el lado de la infraestructura, cuidado del medio ambiente y eso fue
on the
algo que
infrastructure and the environment. That is something that we recover from all the works. So this was the balance of what we had with Exploradatos Bogotá 3.0. And now I'm going to go quickly on the 3 questions that you raised for the organizers. Challenges that we faced. Well, there is always the challenge of calling the attention of citizens and to keep their attention. The challenges are actually, they're very brief to keep the interest and let's say to be constant with the different workshops, with the different deliveries and the spaces that we have for questions and doubts. So that is a very important challenge. The other thing is that we working together with the different instances from our dependency that is a subsecretary for the strengthening. We are a technical arm. Let's say that we have a lot of guidelines from the open government, transparency, anti-corruption, but we also work together with the 60 entities of the district regarding these topics. One of these cases is the GAP, that is our open government in Bogota, and we work along with them, but this has been a challenge because we don't want to repeat what GAP is presenting, for instance. They work with these topics as well, so working along with them, we don't want to repeat, let's say, that is one of the challenges that we had to face. On the other hand, the thing about the incentives for them to participate, we didn't have economic incentives, and we tried to find among the allies other type of incentives to motivate citizens to participate, and we were looking for different incentives. For instance, from the Innovation Laboratory, the IU, they were offering for the winners a space in a session called experimental, in which they share the results. And let's say that we have this synergia with institutions in order to share the results of Exploradatos. And finally, I think that this has been the biggest challenge, and we haven't been able from Bogota to achieve to defeat this fear to explore in detail the data about the public expenditure from all the topics. So we don't have the way yet for us to lose that fear so they can explore these public expenses, and I think that is something pending to work on. The lessons, we are going to have always citizens interested in their own realities and roles with public management, and it is also important to be focused on the calls for all the citizens that are interested so they can enter to this world of open data. So that is actually something very important. And of course, sharing the challenge depending on the capacities that we have. This year, for instance, we have a big dilemma regarding the quantity of participants, because of course we wanted them to increase the quantity of people registered. However, because we didn't have a lot of economic incentives and because of time and closing the administration of Claudia Lopez, we didn't want to have more capacities. So at the end, this was something that we achieved to do, and we were working good with people that were registered. And this is something with a collaborative work, exploring data from GIF, from Bogota. We also work with a strategy, working with integrity that is gathering the private sector, civil society, and fighting anti-corruption and promotion of transparency and integrity. So Exploradatos has been a strategy that we launched from the transparency, and also it has been very fundamental, this collaborative work with allies from other sectors that have allowed us let's say, to enrich more the process. And finally, just some recommendations for those that are wanting to organize something similar, or for those that did this already and want to do some modifications. It is very important to have the support of the management, from the directors, from the different heads, let's say from the different entities. And this is fundamental for the challenge to flow in the best way. And let's say not to have to stop all of a sudden to interrupt the process. As I mentioned before, to link other type of parties that are always willing to give their effort and their knowledge. It is also important to give a follow-up before, during, and after. We cannot hear you again, Daniela, but I think that you were closing, I guess, with the follow-up. So thank you very much. If there is something else that you would like to add, or if you are missing any type of idea, you can add that to the chat. Thank you very much. And I would like to congratulate the team of the Alcaldía Mayor for, because of the last year of efforts of administration without any economic incentives, but with a lot of coordination to increase the numbers significantly. I'm pretty sure that other places are going to be asking which were the strategies that you used. And another similar exercise that we are going to see is with Guanajuato, and maybe they can help us out with the question that it was related to how can you do to avoid fear, because they are focused on the budget, and it's a very young population. So briefly, we're going to listen in that area some tips to do this, and for sure they are going to willing to know which were the ones that you use. Even though we never said that it is against, maybe it's not under the best circumstances. So with this,
todas y todos, por favor, si pueden poner preguntas en el chat y ligas
if you can add some questions, links that maybe we can be useful, and we will answer those that we have in the intermediate session, that once that we finish with our subnational governments. So with this, I'll give the floor to Paola Flores from Guanajuato, also the representative of the winner team. Please, to give your presentation. Hopefully we can do all our effort to be focused on time. Thank you, Paula. So then I'm going to start sharing my screen with my presentation. Good night, my name is Carlos Castillo and my colleague Paula Flores. We are students from Universidad de Guanajuato, from accountant majors. So that is why we see governmental accountability. Within this, we are close to what is transparency and accountability. Starting using tools as a platform of transparency, or with different web pages to have the information, even if it is with the budget or any type of administration. These type of matters were the ones that created more interest because of the transparency. At the same time, we decided that when we were doing this, we had the and the university gave us the chance to do it. So willing to learn more about this and to know all the knowledge that we have, we decided to be part of this. During the development of this, and from our perspective, we don't have a lot of things to say to improve it. However, what we want to highlight, and that was a big challenge, was the competitiveness that we have, because during the first and the last phase, it was implemented. I don't know if I can call it the transparency regarding the different ranks and the different actions in each of the events, or in the last event that was with Kahoot, in which you can see how everything was increasing, because it was forecasting, it was the competitiveness. People was more interested in a genuine way to learn from this, so they in the future, not only because of this, but personally they can get more into detail about this type of information. And also with this experience, we not only acquire more experiences about transparency and information about the open budget, but also is how this information and how these ideas can generate a significant change in our community, like in Guanajuato. And also we want to share with you that these type of events drive us to keep participating and to be relating us with the transparency matter. And one of it was the Ministry of Transparency and Accountability throughout a shortage with the participation of citizenship to prevent corruption. The one that we created a video in which people or citizens, in this case, would be interested regarding corruption, regarding accountability. And these type of events convince us that the transparency is a very important pillar in our lives, and it should be promoted from us as citizens. And that's it. Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Carlos and Paola. It was very interesting. And it is actually interesting to note that you were the first one addressing communication. That gave us about the short film that you said, give us a variety of things that we can do, and this competitiveness that drive us to be part of it. Sometimes we don't say this, but one of the incentives, not economic incentives that exist, is always ourselves and the ones to be a better person. So thank you for highlighting this. Now I'm going to give the floor to Erika Ortega, that is the organizer of this event, to let her know about this from her perspective from the organization. Well, thank you, Aura. I'm happy to say hi again to you.
Sí, se ve.
Yes, we can see it. So I was telling you that for us, this was a very different activity, maybe to the one that we are used to.
Todo bien.
Lista.
Ahí la
Sí,
vemos.
les comentaba esta
So
iniciativa.
as I was telling you, this initiative is a little bit different from other projects. We are focused on a bidirectional communication. We are focused in college students. This is the third edition of our Rally de Datos in Guanajuato, and we are looking to have the learning from citizens so then they can be assessors of the expenditure and they can create this and more with citizenship. So this project has been something good for us because we had opportunity of having this interaction with the different teams, such as the one that we saw. And actually, we were impressed by the actions. We have some challenges, and the intention of it is that they get to know, they can start creating and exchanging everything that has to do with public policies in Guanajuato. I agree that we were trying to keep students' attention, convince them to combine their scholar activities because they were during the period of exams, homeworks, projects, and the rally, and also how they can involve with different institutions and different strategical allies. Why? Because in order to do all this project, we manage it in different four components. The first one was mentoring and workshops. We had to do this, and this was learning. For those people that were not able to be connected, they were had the possibility to have the material. So we created a transparency forum with our strategical allies from different organizations. And from the learning that we had in different editions, we kept the traditional challenge of the audiovisual challenge. And of course, in social network, they were creating all this learning. They have one project, they posted it in social network to have more visualization of it and to attract more people with all the development that they were doing. later on, and to finish, as they said before, we had a rally in which all the participants use their knowledge. They answer some questions. We were broadcasting this in our social networks, and actually it was something very challenging, something with a lot of competition. And from these activities, we achieved to have our winner team, and we have them here with us. And well, to be honest, this has been a great experience. This is a big challenge to reach citizens, but once you achieve to be them involved, and they can create and they have the option not only to have the information, but using the information and also represent their universities or their institutions. For us, we have an institution in Guanajuato, that is the University of Guanajuato, and they were always competing. So this team that is winning is from the northern part of the country. And for us, it was a great surprise. We were happy for them to be part of it, coming to Guanajuato to present their project. And well, this was the result. We have some of the results that we were having during this third edition. The portal had a lot of views. We went up to 100. We had a lot of reactions in social media. And also, we are now part of the Test of Innovation and Transparency of 2023. And the project even was the winner of the second place in this contest. Everything because of the involvement of citizens and these strategical links as gift, because that is part of this project. And also working along with universities that believe in the project and want their students to be part of it. And we are open to answer some questions. Thank you very much, Erika.
Justamente en este momento podemos abrir la sesión.
Actually, now we can open the session. We have 10 minutes to see or to have a Q&A session. We're going to see the chat. Danilo is going to share the document. Please go ahead. You can add also the link to the winner document here in the chat. And we have a question, a specific question from Juan Pablo for the project from Bogota of the citizen. If you can explain a little bit more of how did you use artificial intelligence? That is one of the a very innovative feature that has created a lot of interest in the session of today. The prevalence and the importance of the artificial intelligence nowadays. So if Sandra and Alejandra can talk a little bit more about that. Yes, can you hear me? Yes. Well, the information was created by artificial intelligence to have this contrast of data related to other countries and other cities. So it allows us to do this comparison. Also, what we did was that we contrasted everything that we had thanks to the artificial intelligence that give us information. We also wanted to do this exercise to verify with the information that entities have. And I think that was something actually very interesting to our research. This AI is actually, let's say, important because it doesn't work by its own, or is not like the debate is there because it works alone. The thing is that it has to be with the verification of data. And because we are working with different scenarios, and we have talked with contractors of the company that is executing the work, so it was actually something easier, and it was better to tell them. Here we have a space that we cannot find with all the planning that can have the AI, with everything that has to do with the observations that you have, but we cannot find it. So that is one of the big things that we can have to do and to have the observations. Thank you. Actually, I think that now you with your experience, you have incorporated data throughout the AI. It is not like the platform is offering it by itself, but it was a new experience thanks to the coordination that you have with other information all around the world, and using other type of sources is the way you can use this tool. So that is actually something very interesting, because it is telling us that the more sophisticated the analysis are, we can exploit more that information.
No, adelante.
Pablo, you have your hand raised.
Gracias. Es una pregunta para quien
Thank
se
you. This
anime.
is a question for whoever wants to answer.
Desde la perspectiva nuestra,
So from our
una
perspective,
de los retos es
one of the
que
challenges
estos ejercicios
is that
perduren.
these
Es decir,
exercises
que una
remain.
vez que
That means that
grupos como
once
ustedes
groups like yours
entienden, usan y
understand and
analizan,
use and
elaboran sobre esos
analyze
datos,
and
que
create
esta
those
práctica
data,
los haga
that
sentirse
this
dueños de
makes
los
you
datos
feel
y
the
que
owner of the
en el
data.
paso del tiempo, pues
And with
esto se
time,
elabore y tenga durabilidad, sostenibilidad.
it remains and it will be sustainable.
Entonces, la pregunta es,
So the question
¿qué
is,
recomiendan a ustedes a una organización como la
what do you
nuestra, que
suggest
trabaja
for an
precisamente en el
organization like
reto de
us that is
eh,
working with the challenge
sostenibilidad,
of sustainability
o la durabilidad
or
de la
durability
pertinencia,
of the
o la
remainance
apropiación perdurable de estos esfuerzos por parte del público?
on
¿Qué
behalf of the
falta?
public?
¿Qué
What
nos
do
está
you of the
faltando
ownership? What are
para
we
que
missing
esto permee?
for this to
Y va
penetrate
tanto
more?
a gobierno como a
And
nuestros
this goes
amigos
for the
de,
government and
me gustaría
also
mucho
for
escuchar
our friends. I would
la
like to
opinión del
hear
académico
the opinion of from our
Danilo y
academia,
obviamente
Danilo,
los grupos de sociedad civil. Gracias.
and of course these civil society groups.
Bueno, gracias. Si me permiten, entonces,
Well, thank you. If
hago el
you allow me,
aporte.
then I will answer this question.
Bueno, desde mi experiencia
So from my
y
experience,
poder participar este año en Exploradatos,
being able to
el
participate
ejercicio
in
que se hizo en
Exploradatos,
Bogotá y
the
sumado a un
experience that we had in
ejercicio
Bogota,
similar que se
and
hizo
with
el
the
año
similar
anterior con
exercise
datos
that was done
abiertos,
in the previous year with open data,
veo la necesidad de
I find the need
llevar la propuesta
of taking this
más
proposal
allá de los medios de comunicación
beyond the
que
media
utilizan las entidades
that
gubernamentales,
are
es
used by
decir,
governmental entities.
el sitio web
That
oficial
means the
de
official
la
website
alcaldía o las
of
redes sociales de las
government or
entidades,
social networks from
llevarlo un
different
poco más
entities.
allá,
We need to take this beyond,
utilizando otras
using all
estrategias
the
de
type of
comunicación para
strategies of
llegar de una manera
communication in
masiva
order to reach
al
them
público
massively or
y
to reach the
vincular de
public,
manera
and
fuerte
so we
también
can link
a las entidades
entities,
educativas,
educational
colegios,
entities,
universidades.
Universities,
Pertenezco a una
schools.
universidad,
I am
soy
part of a
estudiante de
university.
posgrado
I'm a
precisamente en
student of a
inteligencia
post
artificial y
grade
yo
of
le decía
artificial
hace
intelligence.
poco
And
en
I
una
was
reunión que
telling just
tuvimos con
a few
algunos
days ago
directivos
with a meeting
la
that we have with
necesidad de
some
que
directors, the need
precisamente
that actually
las universidades
universities
hagan uso de los datos
need
abiertos
to
y de
use
cara a
the
la
open
inteligencia
data.
artificial se
In
haga
the case
uso
of the AI,
de las
they
plataformas de
need to
datos
use the
abiertas y se
platforms of open
consulten los
data
datos
to have the
oficiales,
consultation
por
of
ejemplo,
official
en
data, for
Colombia,
instance, in
y
Colombia.
no y que ese ejercicio se ponga en
So that
práctica, digamos, cuando
exercise,
se
we
hacen
can
trabajos de
practice it
investigación,
when we do
se
some
hagan a partir
research
de
exercises.
datos
So we can
reales
do
y
that
que al
from real
final el
data. And
resultado
at the
de
end, the
ese
result
ejercicio se pueda
of that
aplicar,
exercise
¿sí?
could
Se pueda
be
aplicar
used
las entidades gubernamentales
in the
y no llevarlo
governmental entities.
solamente a
Not only
datos,
taking
digamos,
this
que muy seguramente no corresponden al ámbito
for those that do not
local o
belong to
nacional
the local or
yo
national
creo que falta conectar
aspect.
mucho
So
a
I
elementos
think
del
that we are
ejercicio como la
missing to
academia
link a lot of
con el
things, the
gobierno y
academia
pues
with the
en general
government,
con la
and
ciudadanía
in
poder
general with
llevar estas
citizens.
propuestas
We can take these
utilizando medios
proposals
de
using
comunicación pues diferentes a los
communication ways
tradicionales de las
different than the
entidades oficiales,
traditionals
como
for
ya
the
lo dije,
official entities, as I said
lo hacen a
before.
través de sus
and they do it throughout their official web page. But I think that we are missing to reach a bigger audience. And the other thing is that we need to have more educational journeys regarding the management of data, because open data are just a small part of it. They are a golden mine. And I'm doing this exercise, this educational exercise for people to know more about that gold mine, so we can actually transform, we can convert this into research, and we can generate applications, because at the end what we are looking forward to have is that. And as a participant of Explora Datos, I do think that the incentives is they are actually very important, not necessarily having an incentive, an economic one or in cash, but for instance, me as a winner, that I can have, I don't know, a scholarship, or if I can have a software that could allow me to do all my research job. So I think that this comes along with everything that has to do with incentives. Thank you. Thank you, Danilo. Here in the chat, I can also see, and it is actually very valuable, the thing about incentives that have to do with development of skills, not only with a economic incentive, because sometimes it is way far from the capacities of the organizations that are in charge of these projects. I will give the floor now to Sandra and Alejandra for a brief intervention, and then we can continue with our national and matters, and also with the Philippines. Well, regarding open data, for us, is transparency. For us is to have that social control as citizens, active citizens, that comply with the rights and duties.
En esa no solo rendición de cuentas, sino también
not only with this accountability, but also with being giving proposals. These data are very useful. And I also think that it is very important that, at least in Colombia, we would like to think in that culture of data, in that type of culture that allows not only the academic one, or the one that is exploring data. That was the challenge or the contest that we had in Colombia. That is it's a culture that from school, college, that are in the university, they know about open data. And also, just to add something, it is to improve the public resources, because with that, we will know which is going to be the best investment for my area. So more goods and services for community, and something good about open data is to create a conscious community. And I will close with something that, for instance, we were talking about Sigao, that here in Colombia, or here in Bogota, is the one that is in charge of everything with the has to do with trees. And if they know that we talk about trees, that there is a need to build this to make it sustainable from that perspective. So entities get to know that we are interested and we are finding with this search. Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Nada más para redondear esta idea, porque sé que ya nos vamos a las experiencias nacionales.
Okay,
Entonces,
just to summarize this, we have this communication topic, we have the stimuli topic as well, that is also very important. We also have the topic or the matter about the follow-up on behalf of the government, the creation of networks to other educational institutions. But I think that this is something that I would like to highlight, this part, last part. The thing about the impact and the response from the government. Effectively, if you see in 1 or 2 years from this studies, from the analysis of the findings, there is a governmental response to the improvement in the public policy. So they will never forget, and they will be the owners of an improvement from the analysis that is independent from the public perspective. I just wanted to highlight this because we insist in GIFT about the importance of the feedback and about the response, about the dialogue that from this we can deal with authorities. Thank you.
Muchas gracias. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it first to the Philippines team because they have mentioned that they have only 15 minutes left to be in the meeting. So I'm gonna pass it immediately to the Philippines winner, Mr. Marcos Zaplan. Please go ahead, share with us.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right. Good. Hello, everyone. Good morning from the Philippines. My name is Marco Zaplan, and I'm from the Gov Data Initiative. So today I'm going to share about my motivations in joining the Info Data Quest. What are some lessons that we've learned, and what are some ways forward to advance our work and beyond? So early this year, I joined the Info Data Quest because I realized that there's just so much data available because of the many good governance initiatives that the Philippine government and CSOs have implemented. But the challenge, however, is that a lot of them are disclosed in table format or in PDF. And many of them are hard to find and can be highly technical and not easily understandable, which is why I joined the Info Data Quest and came up with a better budget management through data-driven storytelling to help data users from government and civil society to easily understand the data on budget utilization rates or BUR. Why BUR? Because BUR tells us how efficient a government agency is at spending their allocation, which then translates to whether they are able to deliver their mandate to the public. So policymakers, oversight agencies, civil society, and even the media can use this information to hold implementing agencies accountable and recommend corrective actions to make spending more efficient and effective. Because when implementing agencies are able to maximize their budgets, they are able to deliver more goods and services to the public. So some lessons learned. In joining the data quest, I learned that there's so much potential in data storytelling. There's a growing awareness and demand, both from government and civil society. When it comes to data storytelling, they want to go beyond just publishing open data. They want to deliver key insights through data storytelling. So we've so far presented the dashboard to 3 senior government officials, and they are really excited to use our dashboard. In fact, winning the Info Data Quest led our organization to meet with the leadership of the Department of Budget and Management, as seen in the photo, to discuss collaborations. And a week later, well, we became an OGP commitment holder with the DBM and Code NGO. And one of our commitments there is to publish data stories for the DBM's Project Dime, or digital information for monitoring and evaluation. So another lesson is that our engagement with the PCO, the Presidential Communications Office, through the Info Data Quest and with the DBM really demonstrated that when there is leadership and openness to partner with civil society, there's so much more that government and CSOs can accomplish together. And that Info Data Quest can be that entry point or that strategic platform for CSOs like us to advance data use and data storytelling, as this can serve as a sort of a proof of concept to government leaders and show them that this can be done. This is the potential, and this is the impact of making your data more visual and understandable. So, what are some ways forward?
Quels sont les pas pour le futur? Qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire au futur?
Oh, sorry,
Je m'excuse. Moi, j'ai perdu les sons.
I can hear myself, sorry.
Oui, on vous entend. Ah, parfait, merci.
How do I turn off
Oui.
my...
Mais dans ces moments-là, nous sommes en train de voir votre présentation, les gouvernements, les CSO.
Yeah, I can hear myself, sorry.
Oui, je m'écoute, en fait.
Yeah, all right, sorry.
C'est pour cela.
Alright, so again, some ways forward,
Donc, on trouve de manières, comme on l'a dit, où on a beaucoup de potentiel avec la société civile et de cette manière-là, on veut encore continuer avec le numéro 1, avec la gestion de gouvernement, avec les usagers de données. Et on considère
Sorry to
qu'il faut créer un
interrupt.
peu plus d'espace. Je m'excuse de vous interrompre. Oui, oui, allô?
Apologies to interrupt, but we can
Je
no longer
m'excuse,
hear the
mais
presenter in
on
English.
entend plus les présentateurs en anglais. Il est en train de parler en anglais. Je ne sais pas si les canaux,
On the
cela
English
marche
channel.
bien. Dans
No, in the English channel, we're
Could you
listening
move?
to French.
Could you move? Well, could you move since we are short of time? Could you move to the original audio because there he is.
No, but I think that affects the recording.
Oh, I see.
All right.
Can
I
we try
proceed?
again?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear
Right.
you now in the English channel. Raquel, can you hear him in the English channel? Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sure, no problem. So
Go
going back, so my second point is we hope that we could create more spaces, like Info Data Quests, for trying new things to know what works best and maybe what doesn't work. Number three is to provide resources and access to tools such as Tableau and Canva to enable more people to create their own data stories. Number four is sharing of best practices among practitioners from around the world, which is what we're doing right now. So thank you very much to Gift. And number five is, I think, very important to nurture this community and ecosystem of government and civil society data storytellers and communicators to sustain these kinds of initiatives. And lastly, very important, is to address the barriers to accessing data and institutionalize the use of open data and tools like our dashboard through an enabling policy from the government. So we have so far improved the dashboard. It's now called Spending Monitoring and Results Tracker Dashboard, or SMART. We've also included some data sets from the local, and we look forward to further improving the tool with more inputs from the government and our counterparts in civil society. That would be all. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Marco, and thank you very much for holding on with us. If anyone has any questions for Marco, this would be the time because he's leaving us due to another commitment. But also, if you have any questions, please put them on the chat and we'll make sure to pass it on to him so that he can reply, and we will pass that reply to you. You can make also your questions in Spanish and the translation will assist you. So there, Francisco has a question.
How do you think that organizations such as yours should work along with the government? I mean, at some point, the government also has the responsibility of having their own dashboards and some form of data storytelling. Like it's part of that's part of open data, right? To communicate that data. It's not just about tables in a CSV file. But also you mentioned the data storytelling, which is a fantastic tool, but it's also incredibly complex. Like something that is very, like, at least for people like me, it's very hard to do it, like to do it well. Like it's very hard, it's very easy to make a bar chart, but it's very hard to communicate with to communicate your idea clearly to someone who is not deeply familiar with the data. So it's do you feel that there must be this continuous communication between society and the government? Or do you feel that there's some kind of at some point people that is familiar with data must also take the responsibility of like providing another alternative narrative, right? To say, oh, this is not, we do not agree with this specific thing. Do you, how has that played with your organization? How do you feel that will play in the future?
Right. Thank you for that question. So I'd like to share our experience with the DBM so far. Along the data pipeline, there's so much that we can collaborate on. So for example, the DBM, they already have an existing dashboard, and we also have our own dashboard. So what we did was to find where our organization can help the government agency with, because they already have a portal. So what we contributed basically is our background in data storytelling, which they find is value adding to them. So I think that's very important. Let's find ways where we can collaborate on where can we add value in, because obviously government has more influence in terms of disclosing data, which we don't have, whereas we can provide support in terms of making their data more accessible and understandable. So that's one point. When it comes to interpreting the data, I think it's a matter of strategizing among CSOs. Which amongst us will be more on the engaging side? Which one of us will be more on the critical side? Because it's important that we operate in a spectrum. You know, there will be ones who will be very critical because it helps push the envelope. I think from civil society, that's very important. But we also need to have that space where CSOs are also able to freely engage with government, so that there should be someone who will be partnering with government agencies. So I think that's very important among CSOs. Let's agree. Who will be in the participation space, who will be on the more critical space, because these are very important spaces. Yeah. I think that would be all.
Thank you.
I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think that's what you said, Marco, and your question was very key, Francisco, is something that in the GIVE network we continue to emphasize: the identification of the audience, the specific audience that we are trying to engage really changes the outcomes. So if we identify as the Guanajuato case that we want to engage the youth, probably the mechanisms and tools would be more down to earth. Whereas if you want to get more technical results and more data-driven type of results, you'll have more sophisticated information and tools. And how to bridge the gap between the two would depend a lot on who you wanna engage. So I think Marco just nailed it there in identifying who is going to be the audience is what mandates how to do the data storytelling. It could be very simple as a short movie like Guanajuato, probably not as sophisticated as another very complex regression, but the complex regression would be very hard to make understandable for other audiences. With that, I'll leave to the organizers from the Philippines. Sorry for the little change in the order, just we got this request, so we can go ahead and finish with the Philippines case with both sides, and then we go to the Mexico federal cases winner and organizers to close.
Hi, good morning from the Philippines. Just I want to share my screen. All right. All right. Can everyone now see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
All right. So, again, good morning from the Philippines. I am Marinela Ricafranca, and we are glad to represent FY Philippines to discuss or to showcase our 2023 Dataquest and Data Rally journey with all of you. So today I will be wearing the hat of the organizer, and I will discuss about the challenges, learnings, and recommendations of our rollout of this year's Dataquest initiative from FY Philippines. So just a brief background of our office. So I'm from the Freedom of Information Program Management Office, and we are the lead agency to operationalize the Freedom of Information or Access to Information program in the Philippines. And our motivation for really joining the Dataquest user engagement activity of GIFT is that we FOI Philippines is also within that spectrum or realm of or community of government transparency, or working towards a more transparent and accountable government. So we're in that community. And apart from that, as the implementer of the Access to Information program in the country, we have this electronic FOI portal where a lot of information or government information, official records can be viewed by the public. So we have this really great pool of information where people can optimize and make something out of this information. Perhaps to use in the creation of policies that can add public value to our communities, to the government, and to also push forward for their advocacies. So that's our motivation for joining, and we are also in engagement with the Global Initiative for Fiscal Transparency. For I think 2 years already, we had launched our first Dataquest initiative last 2021, and for this year, we also launched our Dataquest initiative. So for this year, we have the Info Dataquest initiative focusing on strengthening fiscal transparency through access to information. So in essence, we this is a series of activities or capacity development activities for the stakeholders, and we have a series of activities for it. We have the launch and workshops. We have this data storytelling competition, and we also have supplementary workshops for our stakeholders, and we also get to award and recognize our the winners of the Dataquest initiative. So for the launch and workshops, we just had invited speakers from the data communities. We also invited speakers from to discuss about graphics and design, discussions on graphics and design, discussions on fiscal transparency, and discussions on access to information, so that all interested stakeholders can get basic information or learnings about these topics. And then for the next part of our event, we have this supplementary workshops wherein discussions on data storytelling, data visualization are being conducted for the benefit of our stakeholders. And after that, we have this month-long competition or data storytelling and data visualization competition, wherein all the learnings of our stakeholders or our target participants from the lunch and workshops, from the supplementary workshops, they will be using this in order to create, data storytelling charts and graphics that could that focuses on fiscal transparency, perhaps to make information such as budget appropriations or financial plans, fiscal plans, annual procurement plans more understandable, or in layman's term for the people, so that they can understand, or the general public or ordinary citizens can better understand these types of data. So we have that competition, and also finally we'll award the winners of that competition. So with that, just to see or just to describe Info Dataquest, our initiative in numbers. So for our lunch and workshops, we've had a lot of viewers from Facebook. We also had a lot of reactions for our workshops. We publicized the conduct of this workshop, so that a lot of our networks can also see and learn from the discussions. And for the supplementary workshops focused on data storytelling and data visualization, we conducted it in Zoom. So as I've mentioned earlier, we are more focused on capacity building. So we conducted the supplementary workshop with all interested participants of the competition, so that they will know better, the more technical aspects of data storytelling, data visualization. And we received 20 submissions on for our data storytelling and data visualization competition. And of course, we had 3 winners for this. We also have announced 3 winners for this, and our very own Sir Marco Zaplan is our champion for this initiative. So just to present to you background of our challenges, lessons, and recommendations. So for our challenges, we thought that our topic is broad. Strengthening fiscal transparency, or fiscal transparency per se is a topic that is too broad. You can interject it with a lot of with all actually of the sustainable development goals, and perhaps some of our participants are find it too broad. That's why our submissions can be improved. We had 20 submissions, but it can be improved perhaps by by the topic a little, or by focusing the topic a little on those that are that adds more value to the participants. So we also had a challenge of low number of submitted outputs. So perhaps that is also one of the things that we can address. If we make a topic focused, we can have higher number of submitted outputs for it. And then for our perennial challenge actually is for a follow-through activity. We find our activity it's focused on capacity development activity, but we find it somehow low impact, and we want it for our future conduct of the Dataquests to be more or higher in impact. Perhaps what we can do for it is to partner with our local sustainable development goal chapters, so that we can explore more activities with them, and considering that they're also in engagement with government agencies that are already creating or defining the national policy directives of the country. So perhaps that is also one of the recommendations that we can provide to all participants that would want to have higher impact, or put more impact on the conduct of their Dataquest initiatives. For our lessons, we thought that supplementary.
Marinela, I hate to interrupt you, but if you can just wrap up to be able to hear to the other participants, if we can wrap up in the next minute or less, thank you very much.
Sure. For our lessons, we thought that the supplementary workshops are helpful. So if requested by the interested participants, we can also have that. And then for our recommendations, we can just focus on perhaps 1 to 2 SDGs, or those SDGs that really are more relevant to your target scope. And then we can also partner with SDG local chapters, you can also piggyback on existing activities, and partner with research-focused CSO networks, such as and state universities and colleges as well, because academicians, they are the ones that usually in our scope, or in our country, they usually are the ones who are interested to partner with, or to submit outputs, and then they're also the ones who are interested to analyze data, and make proposals on how we can better make the sustainable development goal process more accountable. So that's it for my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marinela. And I think what you mentioned is connected with what the discussion was in the questions and answers, related to finding a way to bring more impact, and that and directly link the works of the participants with some policy outcomes, or some follow-up, at least, on what happened to their proposals. That's very much what was discussed in the question and answer session, and that brings us very easily to go to the Mexican federal example experience, where as it is the oldest, the longest going initiative in this sense, they have had a couple of experiences on how to give follow-up to participants, but even bring the information to be presented in the Congress or to be published within the website as part of follow-up. So we are eager to hear from them as well. I'll let the winner for the Mexican federal level experience go first. Francisco, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Muchas gracias, Aura. Seré breve. Sé que es tarde o
Thank you
temprano.
very much. Aura, I know that is late or early for some, I don't know. So I am a data analyst. That's my profession. So since I was aware of this, I was interested in making some contribution to the process of open data in Mexico. We've been going forward a lot regarding open data, and you're going to know a lot of the works that we have done with the transparency, with the SAT, with the portal of data. So in the late 10 or 12 years, we've been going forward to have tables in PDF, for instance. Now we have tables that are well coded, etc. I won't get into detail. So what I did was is a dashboard that exemplifies an idea that I have regarding with one of the things that I think is the next step. So basically, the social problems that we have any part of the world, it doesn't matter how small the problem is. It requires a lot of data and a lot of context in order to understand, in order to assess the way in which we are going to solve that problem or how we are going to try to solve that problem. So any problem, it doesn't matter how small you make it geographically, by topic, by health, violence, security, economy, whatever, there is no problem that you can put in a database with 3 tables and just say, we're done. With this, I have everything to understand it. So what I did, what I wanted to show this, it was with a social program in Mexico that are programs of direct subsidies for the population. They give them an economic resource to foster their kids to study. So I decided to compare this with the statistics institution in Mexico, because we come from economic resource. How do you allocate them? So we can see the educational indicators in the different regions where it was allocated. Last year, we had literacy, the education tables, primary, etc. So here I just gather some of the years and a specific program from the government. I also gather, and I say, well, I have something to understand it. But no, because social programs, they have operational rules. So in this case, some programs, for instance, scholarships Benito Juarez, for instance, those are given to indigenous populations. So I had to enter this information. Data, ethnographic data from the different regions. There is, for instance, indigenous population, which is the literacy in the indigenous population, etc. So in here we have 3 different databases, different values with different indicators gathered with the different purposes, but that shows different aspects from the same situation in field, in the operational area of the program. And the thing is, this is not enough. I mean, here maybe you can say, Francisco, economy data or employment in general population to access to school. Where is the data of the national educational system? I mean, if you want to do this, then you have to add at least a database or less. And that is something that I wanted to highlight with my project, with my proposal. The idea is that the problems that we address and the governments are very complex And as citizens, even though we have the data open, you won't have the PDF here and the other one over there. So we need to keep growing literally with different links. And I mean that at the end of the day, institutions, they need to work to help us with this information that sometimes they come from different sources, from different ministries that are with different geographical or different temporality. Some of them are monthly, quarterly, from the municipality, from local level, from the state level. So I think that this is something, or this is a very important lesson for the way in which governmental institutions need to manage open data. Now I was able to link three of them because I was thinking how I could link them. And it was not difficult. I mean, I'm not saying that it's difficult. The thing is that it requires a certain type of technical level knowledge that is one of another barrier for the recognition of the data. And that is something else that I wanted to emphasize with my project. I thought that if I was really focused, I was able to achieve it. But when I was looking for the fourth one, I thought that I was not able to do it. So that is what I wanted to show to you as my project. This idea that as far as I understand, this is the next step to the access to data. How can we understand the problems in their context using different sources? And also, I want to thank to Gift and everyone that is in here for taking part of this type of projects. Thank you. Thank you very much, Francisco. Actually, this is very interesting. Actually, what you were saying, what is next, the open data that some other projects mentioned, to link the information in such way that is going to give us context and is going to be aware of social problems, not only the data just like that, but it's going to be useful for the documentation for people that is given, that they cannot have more context and more richness without that material. So I think that it makes a lot of sense also with the participation. And with that, I will go with the Ministry of Taxes. As I said before, is the team that was implementing this exercise. And it's a little bit late, so I will let her start with her presentation. Please go ahead. Hi, good evening to everyone. Here is Sandra and Alice from Transparencia Presupuestaria. We've been working for 8 years motivating ourselves, 8 years motivating to the use and participation of the open data, and fostering the participation. So we want to address this to experts like Francisco and also non-experts, researchers, communicologists, students, or officers, because the use of data is for everyone. So that is actually a big challenge. Talking about challenges, it is a big challenge. To limit all the data and everything that we have. Because as Francisco said, we've been moving forward with the data that we have already, but it is actually a very important challenge to have a limit with them. Last year, it was only UDS, and now we open this for other topics, general topics. That was the use of public budget, the development and performance of programs, and we have 122 registrations, 86 participants, individual participants, and 36 teams with 2 people. The thing here is that they were with a profile of academics, civil society, public services, and students. And the topic of interest was the management of database, storytelling with data, the visualization of information, and the analysis of public policies. We had different challenges. And another challenge that we have every year is that we want to deliver, we want to give that not everything is the same, because we've been working with this 8 years. we don't want it to be the same every year. So we have different topics, we have different subjects, different challenges. So people are going to be interested in participating. We had the 3 different places, and the important thing here, and we're going to the third one, that is data chasers. We did have a economic compensation. Even the first place that they earn 5,000 pesos. But what we want and what we've been doing with some elections with all these years, what we have learned is that no, it is not only that we want people to participate because of an amount of money, because sometimes we had higher amounts of money. We want them to participate because we want to foster that with their exercise. We can have maybe someday a governmental response. We don't want it not only as something, I mean, we see this as something that we're missing. We want more entities to take part of it, not only because of the prize that we have, the economic prize that we have, but because we want them to see their project and their work in a public policy. For it, this time, the difference and the way we are visualizing more the rally for that point is that we want to have the web page a incubator system of talents of data. So not only that each year we say the first place won this amount of money and this is the project. We want everything to have visualizations on the web page. So in the future, or maybe in a midterm, we can use everything and we can do an incubator of talent. Those are the reactions. So those are the things that we have learned and the things that we're going to be focused on every year. Actually, this year, the winner, they actually had a visualization of the data, and we're going to give you the link so you can consult it. The link is over there of all the visualizations of the winners. So this is actually what we are continue learning. We want to go one step forward with everything and all the talents that we have been receiving every year with every data rally. I don't know if you have any questions so far. Well, thanks, Sandra and Alicia. With the Mexican exercise at a federal level, we see this type of innovation of the participants that is actually very well developed. And it comes from sending and creating memes. We also had rallies with rap. Now it is focused on the data and gathering all data as possible. So it is always nice to see what things are going to have this year, which is going to be the approach. And we see the different practices in Philippines. They were saying that maybe now they need to be more focused in a specific topic. You were focused now widening a little bit more the approach of it. So every exercise has its own features. And well, congratulations to all the teams on the organizers and all the winners. Let me tell you that please do not stop doing these efforts. Every year we are surprised by the variety that we have. In previous year, we had exercises that went from the analysis of the programs for people with disabilities up to the analysis of gender at schools. Now we have mobilities, trees, and these exercises regarding subsidies, educational subsidies. So we see that the variety, it just does not stop. Just to end in the chat, we have a doubt related with the links of educational data that were used by Francisco. Francisco already gave us an answer. It is actually very technical. and you can look at it if you want. I would like to close with this session, thanking everyone in here for being here, for presenting us. I know that for some of you, it is late already. And for the team in Mexico, I know that you, been sick lately. So always thanking you for this great commitment that you have. And the same with the Guanajuato team. The winner team was during the period of exam, during different projects. And I think that is the same case for the winner teams and for the organizers, that no matter what, they were running these initiatives. They never gave up during the pandemic, and they showed us that they will never give up. So thank you very much. It is always inspiring to listen to all the projects. We will be publishing the notes of this meeting, and as every year, we're going to use the examples of the previous year to motivate the following years, and also to use different innovations with the initiatives that we have. As you know, even my dogs are congratulating you. They're sending you a thank you. I don't know if the rest of the team of Gift, Juan Pablo, I don't know if you want to mention something else. And with that, I want to thank you once again for your assistance and attendance and participation. Thank you, Aura, for making this happen. Thank you, everyone, for the presentation, for taking time from your family, for being also at the meeting of Gift. Thank you very much, and we keep learning from you. Thank you. Good night. Thank you. Good night.
Buenas noches a todos. Thanks,
Buenas
everyone.
noches.
Thank
Muchas
you.
gracias.
Goodbye.
Gracias. Buenas noches a todos.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.